We find ourselves in the unlikely situation, the unlikely scenario of Vasistha being a devotee of Lord Siva and looking for liberation through appropriate worship of Shiva. And Shiva is talking to Vasistha. The Lord said, "Do you know who God is? God is not Vishnu, Shiva or Brahma, not the wind, the sun or the moon, not the Brahmana or the king, not I nor you, not Lakshmi, nor the mind," which here is understood as intellect. God is without form and undivided, which indicates that God is not in objects. That splendour, devanam, which is not made and which has neither beginning nor end, is known as God, Deva, or Lord Shiva, which is pure consciousness. That alone is fit to be worshipped, and that alone is all. So any notion of God, other than the realization that God is pure consciousness, is quite worthless. And we'll find out how it's supposed to be worshipped very soon. If one is unable to worship this Shiva, then he's encouraged to worship the form. The latter yields finite results, but the form bestows infinite bliss. He who ignores the infinite and is devoted to the finite abandons a pleasure garden and seeks the thorny bush. I often describe it as having been satisfied or being satisfied with shoddy goods. However, sages sometimes worship a form playfully. If that's part of the culture and lifestyle that the sage is living in, then there's no reason why they shouldn't indulge in worship of a deity or go to church or whatever. Now for the articles used in the worship. Worship normally entails various paraphernalia, but not here. The articles are wisdom, self-control, and the perception of the self in all beings are the foremost among those articles. The self alone is Lord Siva, who is fit to be worshipped at all times with the flowers of wisdom. I asked the Lord, "Pray tell me how this world is transmuted into pure consciousness, and also how that pure consciousness appears as a jiva and other things." So this is a mistaken idea, that liberation is somehow about transmuting everything into consciousness. But let's hear what the Lord says. The Lord continued, "Indeed, only that Cid-akasha, the infinite consciousness, which alone exists even after the cosmic dissolution, exists even now, utterly devoid of objectivity." So this is the space of consciousness. The concepts and notions that are illumined by the consciousness within itself shine as this creation on account of the movement of energy within consciousness, precisely as dreams arise during sleep. So with dreams, what we've got is the creation of images, notions, whatever, and then the attention getting caught up in them. So we've got the movement of energy in terms of the creation of images, visual or otherwise, and the involvement of consciousness through the attention getting caught up in them. And this is the same condition whether we're awake or asleep, whether awake or in dreams. Otherwise, it is totally impossible for an object of perception to exist outside of the omnipresent infinite consciousness. All these mountains, the whole world, the firmament, the self, the jiva or the individuality, and all the elements of which this world is constituted, all these are not but pure consciousness. Before the so-called creation, when only this pure consciousness existed, where were all these, heaven, etc., space, Akasa, supreme or infinite space, paramakasam, absolute space, brahmakasam. Creation, consciousness are mere words, and they indicate the same truth even as synonyms do. Even as the duality experienced in dream is illusory, the duality implied in the creation of the world is illusory. The dream world we just call it one thing. We call it dream, don't we? We don't talk about the dreams in the same way we talk about past memories. We say, I had a dream. Life is but a dream. That can be taken literally. There's no reason for us to expect it to be any different from a dream. We've just got used to the notion that somehow we're not dreaming. It's more real than when we're dreaming. But certainly when we're dreaming, the dream is real, and any memory of what we call the waking state is forgotten. So the reality implied in the creation of the world is illusory. Both dreams and what we call waking reality are produced by the mind. They're both mind produced, so why should they be any different, essentially? Even as the objects seem to exist and function in the inner world of consciousness in a dream, objects seem to exist and function in the outer world of consciousness during the wakeful state. In dreams we have senses, don't we? We have eyes, ears, and we see things through our dream eyes, we hear things through our dream ears, we experience sensations through our dream bodies. So, is perception going on then? When I see a cat in a dream, are my dream eyes perceiving the dream cat? Does it even make sense to talk of perception? Nothing really happens in both these states. Even as consciousness alone is the reality in the dream state, consciousness alone is the substance in the wakeful state too. That is the Lord, that is the supreme truth, that you are, that I am, and that is all. It's not substance in the usual sense. Consciousness alone is all there is in the wakeful state too. It's all just consciousness, the play of consciousness, if you like.